Hi, my name is Richard Duffy with Leverage Technologies, and what I'd like to do today is provide the additional information for you that I referred to in my blog post, where I'm going to show you in detail how the kitting functionality works inside MYOB Advanced and how you can take advantage of that kitting functionality to do both traditional kitting as well as what we like to call light manufacturing. And both of these are scenarios where you start off with effectively a bill of materials, which is a list of all of the component items that go in to make a finished product. And the only difference between the two is whether or not your finished product is set up as a stock item or a non-stock item. So let's go ahead and we'll take a look at that. So the first thing you need to do, of course, is be aware that all this functionality is set up inside the distribution module inside MYOB Advanced. So we go into distribution and we're going to go into inventory. So now what you're going to do is you're going to specify your kit specifications. So when you go in here into your kit specifications, this is where you are going to put together, if you like, your bill of materials. And the bill of materials could be made up of both stock items and non-stock items. And then you link it back to this value up here, which is your kit inventory ID. And this, if you look in your lookup list here, you'll see this then links back to your inventory master files. So these inventory IDs, these are stock items that we have. So for example, we have a desktop computer that we're making. We've got two versions of the desktop computer, and then we also have a bespoke version. So if I go and I look at this version here, our 301 kit STD1, if I then go across here and I look in my inventory, I go into my stock items, I'm just going to open that up in a new tab, and then we're going to look up that stock item and give it a couple of seconds. Now, of course, remember, if this is maybe the first time you've seen MYOB Advanced, bear in mind that the entire system is cloud-based, so everything I'm doing is all being done through a web browser over the internet. So I'm just going to paste in my product code. And you'll see that what I've done is I've specified that this is a finished good and that it is a kit. And it's this ticking, this is a kit option, that specifies that I need to then go ahead and build my kit specification. All right, so if I then go and look here in my non-stock items, if I had an inventory item that I wanted to basically use the traditional kitting where the product is not actually kept in stock, the finished product is not kept in stock, it's effectively made when the sales order is entered. So that's your traditional kitting. What I would need to do is set up that master item as a non-stock inventory ID. And you'll see we've got an example of that here where we've got this concept of a gaming pack. All right, and what I can do with this gaming pack is that I can go ahead in here and I can specify now that it is a kit, and by doing that it will then require me to put together a kit specification. But what will happen is this master item will never have an inventory value. Okay, it will never have, you know, a stock level, because these only get made up at the time of putting through the stock or putting through the sales order. All right, so I'm just going to hit save on that, and you can see that's now done. So if I copy that and I go back here into my kit specifications and I do a lookup, you'll now see, whereas before I had these three kit items, now I've created an additional one and I've specified that it is my gaming pack, and you'll see the item class is that it is non-stock. All right, so let's then go ahead and take a look at one of these in detail. So let's take a look at our desktop build version 1. So I can go in here and I can say, well, that's my kit, and then I'm able to create multiple revisions of this bill of materials. So I can say, well, this is going to be my revision A. because you might want to track over time all the different variations of a build that you create. So I'm going to go and put this in, and then I'm going to say, okay, well, what's my code? So I'll say this is my desktop, and I'll say it's desktop build, and then I'll go in here and I'll say it's desktop build v1, and we'll call it Rev A. Now that's not necessarily a customer friendly description, but don't worry, because of course in MYOB Advanced what you're able to do is you can put in a much longer, much more detailed description that you can then use in all of your customer facing documents. All right, but this is what I'm going to call this one right now, and then I'll hit save. So now I've got my revision A, and then I'm basically going in and saying, okay, well, what are the stock components and what are the non-stock components? So I can say, look, in this particular product, I have a tower case, and then I also have, I don't know, I'm going to have a HDMI card, and then, now, by the way, if you're watching this and your main business is PC assembly, please don't look at this and go, oh man, this guy obviously doesn't know anything about building PCs. You know, it's not the purpose of this demonstration. Just really want to show you all the basic steps involved in the process. So we've got a processor, and then I want to go in and say, well, what's my quantities? So I've got a quantity of 1 for each of these. And then do I want to allow a component quantity variance? All right, so maybe in this particular build, I might actually have, let's say, I might have a dual CPU machine. So I might say, well, you know what? When it comes to the CPUs, I might actually allow a component quantity variance. And what I might also want to do is I might want to allow people to use different components. And so, you know, I could do substitutions of my components in the product. So let's say I wanted to replace a 3 gigahertz CPU with a 4 gigahertz CPU. So I can go in here and I can say I'm going to allow component substitution. So again, what I always like to do is when I've gotten to the certain point where I don't want to have to potentially go and you know, redo things, I go and I hit save. Now every time you hit the save button, what it's going to do, it's going to validate your logic, and it's going to tell you, hey, this is all looking okay, and if it's not, it's going to throw an error message like this. So, and it's then going to bring a highlight for you to the particular product that's problematic. So in here, it's basically saying, well, for these products, the sub item may not be empty, and that's because we actually have that sub item functionality switched on inside MYOB Advanced. So of course what I can do is I can do a lookup on that sub item, and I can just press the F3 key to do a lookup on the sub items. So I'm just going to set these to the default sub items for each one of these. Okay, and let's just dive back in here. I'll do that lookup one more time, and there it is. It's my default sub item. So that's all good. Now if I hit my save button, you'll now see that all my logic has been validated and everything is good. So then I can also go in here and I can say I want to add some non-stock items. All right, so I can go in here and I can add, for example, labor or service, or maybe I might have a fee for customizing the build or whatever the case may be. So I can put non-stock items in to this as well. So let's see, for example, I might have, as part of this, I'll have an additional labor expense. So I can say, all right, I've got additional labor expense, and there is 0.25 of an hour involved in assembling this particular product. All right, so I've now got that in there as well, and I hit save. Now, you'll see here I can also specify that I want to allow component additions. So again, just giving you more options around how you customize the build of this particular finished product. All right, so I can say, yep, I want to allow component addition, and then when I'm creating my my finished product by doing a kit assembly, it will give me the ability if this is selected, when I select this particular product, I can add additional components. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. So what have we looked at so far? We've looked at the ability to build our kit assembly. We've seen that that's linked back, in this particular instance, to a stock item. And we've seen that our kit assembly has both stock and non-stock items. So in order for this to be done, in order for this particular product to be manufactured, what I have to now do is I have to go and do a kit assembly. Now I'm a lazy person, so I'm just going to copy that code from there. I'm going to go here into kit assembly. I'm going to say open in a new tab. And so now to do my assembly run, very, very simple. And this uses a process called back flushing. All right, so in a back flushing environment, what am I doing? When the finished product is manufactured, all the component items are then removed from stock at the same time. Right, so I go in here, I say I'm going to do a production run. The system's going to allocate the next production number automatically for me here. I go in to my inventory item, and then I specify which of my revisions am I actually building. Now in this case, there's only one revision, which is revision A, so it's automatically selected that for me. How many of these am I going to make? So let's say I'm going to make 10 of these to put into stock. So I say 10, and it's now going to go through and it will do the necessary calculations to tell me how many of each of these sub items that I actually need, or how many of the component items I actually need to make this particular product. All right, now it's then going to show you, all right, you need 10, but guess what? I've got a situation here where I've only got 4 available. Then I look at this next item, this one, no problem, I've got 15 available. This sub item, no problem, or this component rather, no problem, I've got 20 available. So right now, I can't go ahead and process this production run because I don't have enough of my finished quantity, or I don't have enough of my component item available for me. So what I can do is I can go ahead and I can put this on hold, and I can save that. Now I can go ahead and I can create a purchase order for the additional components that I need, or I can bring them in from another warehouse, or whatever the case may be. Or I can even specify at this particular point in time that I might need to pull these from another location. So that's more of the detailed inventory functionality that's available. Again, not trying to focus on that in this demonstration, just trying to show you this basic functionality. Now this is going to be sub item 0. That's why I've got that little error message again. It's keeping things nice and simple for me. So again, I can save that item. But just for the sake of the exercise, let's just go and say we only want to produce 4. So now I'm saying I'm going to produce 4. So I've got enough quantity of all of my component items. So I take that off hold, and then I release my production batch. And you'll see the transaction is now being processed. So because this, remember, this product is a stock item, it's using a back flushing mechanism where it's reducing the stock level of all the component items, and it's automatically now bringing in the stock level of the products that I just manufactured. All right, so now when I look at this particular product, you'll see that I have additional quantity available. So let's go and call that up in our stock items. And I'll call up my product code. And I press enter. And if I now go in here and look at my warehouse details, you'll actually see that because I was making this in my Melbourne warehouse, I've just brought 4 new products into my Melbourne warehouse. So very, very simple, very straightforward. If you're just doing that light manufacturing functionality, it becomes very, very easy.